Okay, let's unpack this. Tonight we're setting our sights on, well, arguably the most famous constellation in the night sky, Orion, the mighty hunter. You know the one, that unmistakable shape, instantly familiar to anyone who's ever looked up at a clear winter night. Our mission for this deep dive is to go far beyond just its iconic look. We've really dug into the sources, pulling out surprising facts and fascinating insights. We want to explore Orion not just as, a collection of stars, but as a real cultural touchstone, a scientific marvel, and even a timeless guide across millennia.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is how Orion really transcends just basic astronomy. It's almost like a cultural artifact, woven into human history and understanding across so many different civilizations.
That's a great point.
It isn't just stars, it's like a living story, kind of evolving with every generation that looks up at it.
Exactly, and that sets the stage perfectly. So we're going to zoom in on its physical characteristics, its brightest stars, some real stunners there, and the incredible deep sky objects hidden within its borders. Then we'll take a journey through its rich tapestry of global myths and legends, seeing how different cultures saw meaning in the same pattern, and maybe even take a peek into its distant cosmic future.
Sounds good.
So get ready to see Orion in a whole new light, way beyond just those three stars in a belt. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Where does this celestial hunter actually hang out in our night sky? For such a big figure, how does its position, define its interactions with its neighbors, and what does that mean for us trying to see it?
Right. Well, Orion is definitely not small. It's got some pretty famous neighbors bordering it. Taurus to the northwest, Eridanus to the southwest, Lepus down south, Monoceros to the east, and Gemini up to the northeast.
Wow, crowded neighborhood.
It is. And it covers a pretty hefty 594 square degrees. It actually ranks at 26th out of the 88 constellations. So its sheer size means it takes up a significant chunk of the celestial sphere.
And its visibility is pretty much global, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm always amazed how its appearance changes depending on the season and where you are on Earth.
Absolutely. For you, our listeners, maybe in the northern hemisphere, Orion's a classic winter sight. Best seen from January to April.
Right.
But if you're down in the southern hemisphere, that's your summer sky constellation. What's kind of cool is how it appears directly overhead in the tropics, places like, say, Kenya or Indonesia around midnight in December, or in the evening sky come February.
I read something fascinating that even in Antarctica, during their constant winter twilight, the brightest stars of Orion can actually be seen just skimming the horizon for a few hours.
That's right.
It really puts its global reach into perspective.
It does. And this visibility wasn't just for, casual stargazing. Imagine being an ancient mariner or maybe a traveler crossing land. How invaluable would this celestial roadmap have been?
Oh, right.
Beyond just being a pretty pattern, Orion has basically served as a kind of cosmic GPS for thousands of years.
It's amazing. So it's not just a standalone thing. It also acts as a pointer, a celestial signpost for other cool stuff up there.
Exactly. Orion's belt, those three stars, is a fantastic starting point. If you draw a line kind of southeastward from the belt, boom, you hit Sirius, the brightest star in the entire night sky.
Can't miss it.
Nope. Go northwest from the belt, and you'll find Aldebaran in Taurus, the two shoulder stars of Orion. They point roughly eastward to Procyon.
Okay.
And if you draw a line starting from Rigel up through Betelgeuse, it points you right towards Castor and Pollux in Gemini. Plus, Rigel itself is a key star in that big winter circle asterism, and Sirius and Procyon, which you find using Orion, they make up the winter triangle. It's incredibly interconnected.
It really is a sky map built right in. Okay, but let's dig deeper into the anatomy of this giant. Orion's famous for that distinctive hourglass shape, right? Formed by its 7 brightest stars. You've got that sort of rectangular outline made by Rigel, Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, and Saiph. And smack dab in the center, of course, the super famous 3 stars of Orion's belt, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka.
The iconic trio.
Yeah. And then above that, Misa marks Orion's head, and you can sort of picture a club extending north from Betelgeuse, maybe a shield off to the west of Bellatrix.
It's a very visually striking pattern, which is definitely why it's so recognizable.
Yeah.
And what's really special about many of those stars, particularly the ones in the belt and the sword area hanging below it, is that they are these incredibly luminous, hot blue supergiants.
Right.
They actually form what astronomers call the Orion OB1 Association.
Yeah.
It's basically a family of very young, massive stars that were all born together relatively recently and are still kind of gravitationally hanging out together.
Wow, a stellar family. Now, let's zoom in on some of these individual giants, because they have some truly mind-blowing stories. Take Betelgeuse, for example, Alpha Uranus. Tell us about this absolute powerhouse.
Okay, Betelgeuse. It sits on Orion's right shoulder, visually speaking. It's a massive M-type red supergiant. Now, that means it's actually cooler than our sun, temperature-wise, but astronomically larger and incredibly luminous. It's nearing the end of its life.
The big red one.
That's the one. It's usually the second brightest star in Orion, but here's the thing. It's famously variable. Its brightness fluctuates. Remember back in 2019?
Yeah, the great dimming.
Exactly. It went from being about the 10th brightest star in the whole night sky down to like the 23rd. Caused quite a stir.
For sure.
And crucially, it's expected to explode in a supernova sometime within the next, say, 100,000 years, which is, cosmically soon.
Yeah.
When it does blow, it'll be visible from Earth, possibly even outshining the moon for a while, and maybe even visible during the daytime. It's about 548 light years away, give or take.
That's just incredible to imagine. A daytime star. What about its counterpart, the bright one at the foot, Rigel?
Ah, yes, Rigel, Beta Orionis, marking the hunter's left foot. This one's a B-type blue supergiant, so incredibly hot, massive, and burning through its fuel much, much faster and brighter than our sun. It's actually the 7th brightest star in the entire night sky.
What?
Like Betelgeuse, Rigel is also nearing its own supergiant stage. It could eventually collapse into a supernova too, or maybe end up as a white dwarf. It's quite a bit further away than Betelgeuse, though, around 863 light years.
So we've got these two colossal stars, one red, one blue, anchoring the main shape. But what about the other corners of that rectangle?
Right. Well, moving up to the left shoulder, we find Bellatrix, Gamma Orionis. It's sometimes called the Amazon star. It's another B-type blue giant, though not quite as massive as Rigel. And interestingly, at about 245 light years, it's the closest major star in Orion to us.
Closer than the others. Okay. And then, of course, the belt. Everyone knows the belt. What makes those three stars so special beyond just lining up so perfectly?
Yeah, they're not just pretty alignment. The three stars of Orion's belt are individually fascinating. Mintaka, that's the westernmost one, is actually a multiple star system. Yeah, and the main components form an eclipsing binary. That means, from our viewpoint, one star periodically passes in front of the other, causing the total brightness we see to dip slightly. It's like a little celestial dance, about 1,200 light years away.
Cool.
Then there's Alnilam, the middle one, and the brightest of the three belt stars. It's another B-type blue supergiant.
Yeah.
And get this. Despite being nearly twice as far away as the other two belt stars, around 1,344 light years, its sheer intrinsic luminosity makes it appear almost as bright.
Incredible power.
It really is. It's also shedding mass very rapidly, blowing off strong stellar winds. And finally, Alnitak, the easternmost star, is a triple star system. Its main star, the primary, is the brightest Class O star known in the night sky.
Class O.
Yeah, Class O stars are the absolute hottest, most luminous, and shortest-lived stars out there. Real cosmic monsters. Alnitak is roughly 1,260 light years away.
Wow. So, okay, we've got these incredible, powerful stars making up the main shape and the belt. But Orion holds even more cosmic treasures, right? Like hanging from the belt, where you'd imagine a sword might be. Yeah. There's something special there, isn't there? Not just another star.
Absolutely. That fuzzy patch hanging below the belt. What might look like a single faint star in the middle of Orion's sword to the naked eye is actually the magnificent Orion Nebula, M42.
The Orion Nebula.
Yep. This truly spectacular object is actually visible without binoculars or a telescope if you're away from city lights. You can tell it's not quite a star. It looks kind of fuzzy.
Right.
But if you do look at it through binoculars or a small telescope,
wow,
it just opens up. You see these breathtaking clouds of nascent stars, baby stars being born, luminous gas and dust. It's a stellar nursery in full swing.
A star factory.
Exactly. And right in its heart is the trapezium cluster. This is a tight group of very young, hot, newborn stars. Some are even brown dwarfs, those failed stars that aren't quite massive enough to start nuclear fusion like a proper star, but they're still hot. These stars in the trapezium are incredibly young, maybe only a few 100,000 years old. And they're heating the surrounding gas to extreme temperatures, like 60,000 Kelvin. All this is happening about 1,500 light years away from us.
It's like looking back into a cosmic cradle. Just amazing. And the Orion Nebula isn't the only deep sky wonder hiding in there, is it?
Oh, not at all. There's M78, which is another bright nebula nearby that sometimes through a telescope people might mistake for a faint comet if they don't know what they're looking for. And then there's the really iconic Horsehead Nebula, IC434. You've probably seen pictures, that dark cloud of dust shaped like a horse's head, silhouetted against a brighter nebula behind it. Truly a cosmic masterpiece.
Absolutely stunning photo subject.
It is. And it's important to remember that all of these nebulae, the Orion Nebula, M78, the Horsehead, They're all part of a much larger structure called the Orion Molecular Cloud Complex. Think of it as this colossal stellar maternity ward made of dense gas and dust stretching hundreds of light years across. It's genuinely one of the most intense regions of ongoing star formation that we can actually observe in our corner of the Milky Way galaxy.
Wow. And, oh, we shouldn't forget the annual celestial fireworks, the Orionid meteor shower.
Good point. Yeah, the Orionids, they peak around October 20th each year. And those shooting stars you see, they're actually tiny bits of debris left behind by Halley's Comet.
No way. Linked to Halley's Comet.
Directly linked.
Yeah.
As Earth passes through the comet's debris trail, those particles burn up in our atmosphere. It's like Orion is putting on a little light show for us, courtesy of a famous comet.
A cosmic confetti cannon, that's brilliant. So Orion isn't just this static beacon, it's also a source of actual celestial fireworks.
Yeah.
Okay, but now that we've really got a handle on the scientific marvels, the sheer physical grandeur of this constellation, let's shift gears completely. For thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years, people looked up at these exact same stars and saw wildly different things. Different stories, different meanings, but all equally profound, right? It really speaks to the power of human imagination.
It truly does. And we probably have to start with the most famous one, the Greco-Roman myth, right?
And the hunter herself.
The hunter himself. Orion was seen as this gigantic, supernaturally strong hunter, often said to be the son of Poseidon, the sea god. One of the most well-known stories involves Gaia, the earth goddess. She got angry when Orion boasted he could kill every animal on Earth.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, not a good boast. So she sent a giant scorpion to deal with him. And that, according to the myth, is why the constellations of Scorpius and Orion are never in the sky at the same time. When one rises, the other sets. A clever way to explain their celestial opposition.
A cosmic grudge match.
Pretty much. But then there's another figure, Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, who supposedly revived Orion with medicine, which explains why Orion is placed in the sky, sort of between the scorpion and the healer. Orion even pops up in epic poems like Homer's Odyssey and Virgil's Aeneid. He was a big deal.
Definitely a fixture, but what's so striking is how that same pattern of stars sparked completely different narratives elsewhere. What about the ancient Near East? What did people see there?
Right, moving east. In the ancient Near East, their views were often tied more to things like agriculture, guidance, maybe divinity. Babylonian star catalogs, for instance, called Orion Emuel Sippa Zia A18A.
Okay, what's that mean?
It translates to something like the heavenly shepherd or true shepherd of Anu, Anu being a chief god. So it reflects maybe their reliance on guidance, like a shepherd guides a flock, and tied it to messenger gods.
Interesting.
Ancient Egyptians, with their focus on the afterlife, saw the stars of Orion as the god Sa, who was often syncretized, sort of merged with Osiris, the god of the underworld. They believed dead pharaohs transformed into Sa in the afterlife, traveling across the sky. So Orion was a celestial destination.
Wow, a pathway to the afterlife.
Yeah, and even the Bible mentions Orion 3 times, calling it Kisil. Some scholars link this name to a word meaning hope, perhaps relating it to the hope for winter rains that would come when Orion was prominent in the sky. So practical connections too.
Fascinating how those core societal values, agriculture, afterlife seasons, shaped their view of the same stars. How did things look further east, across Asia?
Well, in China, Orion was one of the 28 lunar mansions called Shen. That character literally means 3, clearly referring to the belt stars. And there's an ancient Chinese pictograph, maybe over 3,000 years old, that actually shows those 3 belt stars sitting right on top of a man's head. So that recognition is incredibly old.
3 millennia.
Yeah. In India, the Rig Veda, one of the oldest sacred texts, calls Orion Mariga, which means the deer. And Nataraja, the image of Shiva as the cosmic dancer, representing the universe's rhythm and cycles, is often interpreted as being depicted in the form of Orion.
The cosmic dancer, wow.
Even down in the Pacific, for the Maori people of New Zealand, the star Rigel, which they call Puanga, its rising signals the start of the Maori New Year, so a direct link to their calendar and celebrations.
It's just incredible how these patterns resonate everywhere, often tied to something really practical or deeply spiritual. What about in Europe, maybe away from those big Greek and Roman myths? Did they have local stories?
Oh, definitely. In old Hungarian tradition, for example, Orion wasn't just a hunter, but also sometimes the archer or even the reaper, Gazaz, sometimes identified with Nimrod from the Bible, considered the greatest hunter. And the belt was called the judge's stick.
The judge's stick. Interesting.
Yeah, suggests authority, maybe measure. In Scandinavia, folklore saw Orion's belt, not as a belt, but as Frigg's distaff, or Freya's distaff, a tool used for spinning thread, associating it with powerful goddesses linked to fate and domestic arts.
Ah, connecting it to
And the
goddesses.
fins had names too. The belt and the sword below it were called Wainamoinen's scythe and Kalava's sword, linking them to mythical heroes and tools from their national epic, the Kalevala.
So it becomes part of their own cultural epics. And across the Atlantic and the Americas, the stories must have been just as diverse, probably deeply connected to the local environment, right?
Absolutely. The Seri people, indigenous to northwestern Mexico, they call the three built stars Hapsh, which means hunter. But the individual stars represent specific animals they hunted. A mule deer, a pronghorn, and a bighorn sheep. And the middle star, Anilam, is said to have been shot by the hunter. It's not just a story, it's like a celestial reflection of their hunting life.
Wow, mapping their prey onto the stars.
Exactly. And the Lakota people, Native Americans of the Great Plains, have this incredible imagery. For them, the belt, Kabnakanku, forms the spine of a great bison. The larger rectangle of Orion forms its ribs. The nearby Pleiades star cluster is its head, and Sirius down below is its tail. The entire animal is laid out in the sky.
A celestial bison, that's amazing.
It's a profound connection to their primary source of food and sustenance. And elsewhere, like in Puerto Rico and Latin America, the belt stars are commonly known as Las Tres Marias, the Three Marys, or sometimes Los Tres Reyes Magos, the Three Wise Men, bringing in Christian symbolism.
Right.
And even in places like the pre-colonial Philippines, the belt region was called Balatic, which resembled a kind of automatic pig trap they used, another practical everyday image projected onto the sky.
It really does highlight this fundamental human impulse, doesn't it? To find meaning, to weave narratives into the cosmos, no matter your background or your level of scientific understanding. These shared starry patterns become this canvas for our collective imagination. And sometimes these ancient images, or just the name Orion, even seep into modern culture, like the old Orion Pictures movie logo, or I read the U.S. Army's 27th Infantry Division insignia was nicknamed Orion because its first commander was Major General John F. Orion. A bit of a pun, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a bit. But it just shows that even as our scientific understanding grows, that deep, almost primal connection we have to the stars that need to tell stories about them, it just persists. It's still there.
So thinking about persistence, what does this all mean for Orion in the really long run? Will it always be the hunter we know and love? What's the future hold for this icon?
Well, nothing stays perfectly still in the cosmos. The constellation we see today won't always be in the exact same position relative to us. Because of Earth's axial precession, that very slow wobble of our planet's axis like a spinning top slowing down.
Right, takes thousands of years.
Exactly, about 26,000 years for one full wobble. Because of this, Orion, which currently sits right on the celestial equator, will slowly drift southward over millennia. The source material mentions that by around the year AD 14,000, Orion will have moved so far south that it won't even be visible anymore from places like Great Britain.
Wow. So our familiar winter friend could eventually become a southern sky exclusive, at least for parts of the world. But what about the pattern itself? Will the stars drift apart and ruin the shape?
That's where stellar proper motion comes, the actual movement of the stars through space. But here's the interesting thing about Orion. Its brightest stars, the ones that make that iconic shape, are mostly very distant supergions. And because they're so far away, their individual movements across our line of sight appear incredibly slow from our perspective. So, counterintuitively, Orion's shape will actually remain recognizable for far, far longer than most other constellations, which are often made up of closer stars whose relative positions change more quickly over time.
So the hunter shape is pretty robust then, built to last, in a cosmic sense.
Very much so. It'll look like Orion for a very, very long time.
The most dramatic event in its future, the one we talked about earlier with Betelgeuse,
Yeah.
that's still in the cosmic calendar, right?
Absolutely. That's the big one. The eventual supernova explosion of Betelgeuse. It will happen almost certainly within the next 100,000 years, maybe sooner, maybe later. But cosmically speaking, it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
When that happens, it won't just change Orion. It'll momentarily transform our entire night sky and potentially even the day sky. It'll be this brilliant new star, unlike anything modern humanity has ever witnessed. And it really makes you wonder, what stories ancient people might have told if it had happened back then.
What an incredible journey we've taken with Orion.
Right.
Seriously. From this scientific marvel full of supergiants and nebulae to this profound cultural icon seen as shepherds, hunters, dancers, even bison. From a vital navigational tool for ancient travelers to just this boundless canvas for human imagination across millennia.
Orion really shows us that the sky isn't static. is it? It's this dynamic tapestry weaving together science, history, mythology, and just enduring human wonder. It keeps evolving, and so does our understanding of it.
Absolutely. And as you, listening, gaze up at Orion tonight, or whenever it next graces your sky, remember all this and maybe ponder this thought. What if you were alive in the year, say, 14,000 AD, and Orion, this familiar friend, was no longer visible from your part of the world, just vanished from your sky? How would that feel? Or, even more dramatically, what if you looked up one night, maybe tomorrow, maybe centuries from now, and Betelgeuse had gone supernova, suddenly making Orion blaze as the brightest thing up there after the sun and moon? How would that change your relationship with the night sky? And what incredible new stories would humanity start telling about that new star in the hunter's shoulder? Something to think about the next time you look for the hunter.